Hey, welcome in! In this video, we'll be covering how to create a new user for your SQL Server. There are going to be a few steps that we will be covering today. So we will create the user themselves, and then if you haven't done this before, we will want to go to our server name and right-click the server name, go to Properties, and update it so that it will accept a username and password as the authentication method, and then we'll restart the SQLEXPRESS service. If you're not able to stay for the entire video, here's a short version. So basically, you'll want to expand the security folder, look at logins, right-click on logins and click New Login. No, this is not the security folder that's underneath your database. You want to look one level up. This is the security folder underneath your server. Again, not the database. Give the user a name, check SQL Server Authentication, and give them a password. You can open up another window to look at how another user was set up if you want to mimic credentials. When everything looks okay, hit OK, and you should see your new user underneath the list of logins within that security folder. Once that is done, right-click on the server name and click on Properties. In the pop-up window, click on Security and select the second option for SQL Server and Windows Authentication mode and hit OK. And there's one final step. Now you want to open up Services on your computer, locate SQLEXPRESS, right-click in that row, and hit Restart. And now you will be able to sign into Management Studio with that username and password. And with that, let's get started. So we have hopped over to Management Studio. You can see we are already signed into our SQL Server. We want to go to Security and Logins. Again, this is the security folder underneath the server. This is not the same as the security folder under your database. Okay? So right-click on Logins, click New Login. For login name, I'm going to say test user, select SQL Server Authentication, and this is just the password this person will use. I'll click on just a couple of these. If you want to mimic another user, you can double click on an existing login. So now I have two windows open, the left side for an existing login and the right side for our test user. So we can go through the server roles, see what's different, and mimic what I want to mimic. Okay, so everything looks just about the same. So for our test user, I will hit OK and close out the old user. And you can see test user is now part of the logins section. Next up, if you haven't done this before, right-click your server name and go to Properties, click on Security, and select the option for SQL Server and Windows Authentication mode. Click OK. And finally, we want to open up services on our computer. So So we have services open. So we want to scroll down to SQLEXPRESS, right click, and click Restart. And now you should be able to sign into Management Studio with that new login. So I'm now signed out of our server. Let's sign back in. And you can see I've already tested this before, so the authentication method already said SQL authentication. Our user was the test user. I'll enter in the password. Connect. And there you go. That's how you create a new password or a new login and allow username and password authentication.